What we do here is go back.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Behind the Shot with Brian Ach. That's right, this is the show where we talk about a single frame, one picture, and we talk about everything that went into making that shot. Everything from how I got the job, to the gear I used, to celebrity gossip. Everything you always wanted to know, we're going to tell it to you. So, without further ado, let's get to today's shot. This was taken September 12th, 2018. And if you're a photographer in New York, you know September means one thing, and that is Fashion Week. Loved, hated, whatever you want to call it, it's Fashion Week, and it is what we do in September. So, this was taken at the Savage X Fenty show. This is a brand helmed by Rihanna, the pop superstar. And it's got quite a following. The show is always huge. It's always interesting. She always pushes the boundaries. It's welcome change from Fashion Week, where a lot of times, I'm going to be completely honest, it's white models walking down a runway that all look the same. They're all beautiful, but they look the same. So you got to hand it to Rihanna and her group to push the boundaries and to use models of all colors, all shapes, all sizes, and pregnant models, which is why we're going to talk about this picture. So let's bring it up. This picture is the model Slick Woods. That's Slick Woods in the center of the shot, the one who is slightly pregnant. She's 9 months pregnant, and we'll get to that in a second. But this is a group shot that was taken before the show. This is what's called kind of a first looks thing. That's when the models come out and they're dressed and they're in makeup, and you want to get some clean shots of them before the runway. Now, this wasn't really a runway show per se. Now, I did shoot the runway of this show. I was hired. This is a Getty job. I've done Fashion Week for Getty exclusively. I think 26 seasons. I'm not sure. It's 2005, so it's been a long time that I shoot Fashion Week for Getty, and I often do these big shows, and I was hired to take some environmental shots of the space beforehand, which I was on a 20-foot ladder and doing all sorts of stuff. And then I was hired to shoot the runway of the show during the show, which is not really accurate because there was no runway. It was kind of a tropical island, like a tropical island if it was on Mars, if that makes any sense. And they walked around this huge thing kind of in a circle. They would come out and walk all the way around. And this is at the Brooklyn Navy Yard. So this is a huge sound stage that is used, for shows like, Stranger Things or something. It's not shot there, but something like that. So this is really epic, you have to realize. So before the show, we had the models come out and stand in front of the riser. That's where you stand if you're a runway photographer. It's called a riser because there are steps, and the higher you go, the worse position you have, kind of. And the lower you go, the worse position you have. So you kind of want to be in the middle. So anyway, they would come out and we would shoot them one by one so that everybody can see their looks. The first looks, you want to get the pictures out of what they're wearing. And it's a lot easier to do than when they're moving around or, walking through trees and plants, which is the case in this show. It was kind of interesting. I'm not going to lie. It was very interesting. And Getty had a huge crew there, and there were a lot of photographers, and we covered it, and it was cool. This shot, like I said, that's Slick Woods. She's 9 months pregnant, and she falls into the whole thing of Rihanna thinking everybody's beautiful and everybody should be a model, and that's totally cool. I think it's great because it can get kind of boring. So I was going around and making single shots and group shots. There was Gigi Hadid and Bella, her sister, and we did some of those, and the two of them together and separate, and you're trying to get each of the models And then I kind of organized this group. We're walking around on the stage, on the runway, and there's like 3 of us trying to get these shots. And I organized this group, and I said, let's put her in the middle, because she's pregnant, obviously. And this is like a female empowerment shot. And I told them, I said, we're like worshiping the fact that she's beautiful and she's pregnant and she's walking in the show. So everybody kind of give her your energy. And I instructed them, and they kind of, did that. And it's this cool diorama kind of her in the middle and, like a majestic pose, and then all of them around and doing all their, I thought it was very cool. Didn't think much of it, because at the time she's a known model, obviously, because she has a different look and she's done campaigns, but she wasn't Gigi Hadid or Bella. And a lot of people were focusing on them because they're rather famous and well known. And I did that too, but then I got this shot. So then we shoot the show, and she comes out and walks, and it's a big epic production, and everything's crazy, and you're just trying to get through it. You're trying to get everything that you can. This shot, just to go back, was made with a Canon 1DX. This was a 24 to 70 millimeter f2.8L lens, so it's a 24 to 70 f2.8 zoom. This was shot at its widest setting at 24 millimeters, and it was shot at f3.2. So just stopped down a teeny bit, just a little bit to get a little depth, that's all. And this was shot with a flash at 1/8 power on manual. Like I say, you should always shoot your flash on manual if you can. And it was shot at 1/320th. So that's an interesting thing, because usually you're trying to match the background with the foreground. You're trying to drag the shutter if it's a little dark. This is ISO. Let me see. I didn't write that down. This is it's ISO 6400. So it was rather dark, because this isn't the show lighting at this time. I don't think they're still working on the lights. So it was rather dark. So it's 6400 ISO, which on a 1DX is not a problem. And it's 1/320th. So if I remember, there were some bright lights on them, and I was trying to cut them down with a higher shutter speed. And then I'm trying to fill in with my flash a little bit. And the effect was pretty cool. Like it came out pretty good. It was a very difficult lighting during the show. And of course, during the show, you can't use a flash, but this is before the show, and I'm posing people. So I'm trying to get the best picture I can. So that's what it was shot with. And I had the diffuser on the flash pulled down. Usually you would only pull that down if you're using a really wide lens, like a 16 or something. But if you pull it down, if you're using a 24, if you're zoomed out, it'll take some of the vignetting out of the corners. It'll produce some more even diffusion and maybe a softer look, which is what I was trying to do. So that's the statistics of the picture. What was interesting about this picture is that she went into labor during the show, actually. You couldn't tell, nothing happened, nothing went crazy, but she went into labor during the show because she said of all the excitement. And backstage at the show, paramedics were called, and she was taken right to the hospital and gave birth to a boy. So she can kind of say, you were born at a fashion show, which is ridiculous and crazy, but that's what happens. So the point of it is, you've got to look at any shoot you're at and find anything that could possibly be interesting. I know that sounds like you're Nostradamus trying to, prophesize what's going to be interesting. But a pregnant model is interesting at a fashion show. The fact that she's in the show at all, that's interesting. That's where the story is. Bella and Gigi, yes, those pictures went out, people picked them up, but they're in fashion shows all the time. Pregnant models are not often in fashion shows, and you have to think ahead and think, well, that's kind of a story. So I wanted to make sure to get that story, to get the shot. It's kind of an insurance policy. So we got it. And because we had editors on site, so these pictures were being processed and sent out within, 15, 20 minutes of the show, 5 minutes of the show, they're getting sent out. And this was on Getty. And since she had, the baby the next day, this picture, this one specifically, was picked up everywhere. It was in like Vanity Fair and Allure magazine and like TMZ and like everywhere. It was all over the place the next day, which was cool because it's a good picture, but also it was cool because she had a healthy baby boy. So basically, you just need to think ahead and think, what is the shot here? Always be thinking, what is the shot? Even if it seems to you to be the most mundane thing, or, at a wedding, you should always be thinking, what is the shot? So think about that the next time you do a shoot, whether it's an event or anything, and think, what is the shot and how can I, guarantee that I get it? So like I said, this is September 12th, 2018. It's Slick Woods, and she's now a mom. And thanks for joining me. And as always, if you have any comments or questions about the gear or any techniques or anything, or even the show or anything you can think of, please leave it in the comments. If there's something you want to see in the future, a genre of photography or some sort of celebrity that you're interested in, let me know and I'll see if I have it in my archive and we'll do a show just for you. Okay, thanks a lot.
Break comes higher and you sit